Hi, this is Dr. D. Yvonne Young. I'm an ICF Master Certified Coach and an ICF Registered Mentor Coach. I'm making this video for a couple of reasons. A lot of you are taking courses through some really good programs, maybe at a university or some private programs that are somewhat pricey. You're probably getting ready to set for your exam or you're in the middle of this curriculum. They're talking about these ICF core competencies. I want to tap on some of that real quick. As you know, there are 8 of them. I'm going to go through each one of them, talk about why they matter, how they can connect to practice, because these competencies aren't there for you to do a box check. One of the things that you learn at the ACC and PCC level of coaching is how to check boxes or be somewhat templative. Like they say, well, you know what, let's solidify what we're going to talk about. In other words, frame what today's session's about. And we're going to look for the meaning in the session, right? And that's by you asking, why is this relevant? Why is this important? Then third, focus on an outcome where the client is going to walk away from that coaching session with something that is actionable and meaningful to them. Well, I'm going to skip you past all that. I'm not telling you that's not a best practice or it's not accurate in terms of what you're being taught in your coaching program. What I will tell you is that masterful coaching at the MCC level, we're not focused on outcome. What we're focusing on is being effective. Sometimes your clients could care less about things that they think they want as an outcome and care a whole lot more about what they need as an outcome. So I want to get into these competencies just a bit. I'm going to name them. You should be able to look them up anywhere, but I'm just going to name them. And I'm going to tell you a little about what you should think about in connecting these things to your coaching session and why they're relevant. So with that stated, that first competency is demonstrating ethical practice. Now, what does that mean? That means that before you even start attempting to coach someone, think about your why. How do you want to show up? Are you the type of coach that wants to prove how smart you are? Or are you really coming to the table with your client at heart? There's a big part about coaching ethics with the ICF. And again, if you want to dig deep into that, you can go to my course and look at that. But ethical practice is just that. It's just doing the right thing, making sure you come to the table with the attitude that before I do any of this stuff with you, I'm going to put you first. If there's any conflicts that I may have in terms of compensation from an external source, or perhaps there may be a gain for me if I do this engagement and coaching with you, you need to disclose that. You need to make sure that you tell your clients anything that might benefit you or could in any way cause you to put what's going to come your way before their needs. Because just being honest, would you want someone coaching you that has a hidden agenda and looking at what they're doing with you to make a profit for them? Not saying there's anything wrong with being profitable, but if you're going to do something, make sure you disclose it and make sure you do something that's ethical. Now, number two, this embodies a coaching mindset. That is a big deal. That is about having the awareness to be mindful how you come across to your client in the session. I always tell people it's not about how you act, it's why you're there and who you are. As coaches, we should think about ourselves as an effective witness, an accountability partner, someone that has your client's interest at heart. Here's the truth. Most coaches do not, especially if you've been doing this for like 5 or 10 years, you take for granted the client, especially someone that's been seeing you 10, 8 times, 5 times even. But these people have waited a week to talk to you, sometimes 2 weeks. Believe it or not, you may be one of the few people that actually listens to them, that takes the time to care about what they say, that's invested to the degree that you're not judging them. Your coaching mindset isn't about some false sense of appearance. You shouldn't be in a coaching session sending text messages or something unless it's an emergency. but to be present, to actually care, to give your client your undivided attention is the epitome of embodying a coaching mindset, as well as being client-centered, not profit-centered. Number three, establishes and maintains agreements. That is a simple thing. Do not go into a coaching relationship without setting some boundaries and guidelines. Your clients should know what to expect from you, especially as it relates to the structure of your agreement, like how many sessions, for how long, what is the cost, what is the expected outcome. In turn, what if this relationship does not work out? Then how do we get out of it? Do you give a refund? So these basic boundaries that you're establishing allows your client to understand, okay, this is what I'm getting into. This is what I should bring to the table in this relationship. This is what I can expect to get from this coach. And when they can understand that, that opens the door for you to go to the next ICF competency, and that's cultivating trust and safety. It is your job to make your clients feel safe. If I can't trust you, if I feel that what I'm sharing with you, especially if it's something near and dear to my heart, if it's something that I may be ashamed of or it's really sensitive for me, I need to know that I can trust you. I need to know you've got my back. I need to know that when I speak to you, you are going to honor. This is something that's near and dear to me. And it may be something that I'm struggling with that I don't want my family to know. Now, mind you, if your client tells you something like, I'm going to blow up a building or something like that, that's not covered. So when you tell your client about the rules and the guidelines, just treat people the way you want to be treated, but let them know the things that you cannot hold in confidence, like if they may harm someone or harm themselves, or if they're going to do some act that may be criminal, then you need to establish with them that's not okay. And maybe this is that moment where you want to refer them out to someone that is licensed or skilled in an area that can protect their interests, like a lawyer, God forbid. I hope it's not a lawyer, or maybe someone in the behavioral health space, like a psychiatrist. But just make sure that your clients know that when it comes to me and you, I got your back and we're good. Now, this thing about maintaining coaching presence, that is all about not being overly aligned with your client to the point that you start cheerleading with them. Let's say you're going through a divorce and you're a male or female, whatever, but because they're your gender and you have gone through a horrible divorce, rather than you maintaining objectivity, you start performing in a very subjective way. And when you do that, how are you helping your client? You're not helping your client to become introspective, to dig deeper and think about what is the purpose of whatever they're experiencing. Why is it happening to me right now? And what am I supposed to do with it? So, you maintaining a coaching presence is a big deal. It is not so much about how you're dressed or keeping your chin up. It's about embodying objectivity, compassion, empathy, and helping your client, no matter how bad or how elated they are, keep in perspective about what this means in this moment for your client. The next thing, listens actively. That's number six. Active listening is something that most people don't do. If you are dealing with an introverted client, you need to learn how to pause. That is especially difficult for extroverts because we like to fill the space. Active listening isn't just using your ears, it's using your eyes, it's using your heart and your instincts. We must make it a point that when our clients are speaking, we listen beyond the words. As a matter of fact, pitch, tone, and inflection is not the biggest part of communication, nor is language. What's really there is body signals, of the somatic stuff, like how are they breathing? What's their posture look like? Do the gestures they're making, either on the face or with the body, align with what they're saying? What I mean by that is if somebody is talking about something and making light of it, but it's not funny, Like they're talking about their pain that they're experiencing or that someone else is experiencing, and there's no empathy present for themselves or other people. That's the kind of stuff where listening actively and using reflection so that you can evoke deeper awareness about what you're observing with your client. Now, the next one, these last two are my favorite. Evokes awareness. It is very important. We move away from trying to be so templative, like, is this what the session's about? And what will success look like? I mean, I'm not saying that stuff's not real. It is real. But the real goal in a coaching session is to give your client what they need in that moment, in that session with you, to have them walk away with something kind of like, I've never thought about that before. Or, wow, never looked at it that way. To cause your client to think about what is this experience that they do not like? What what does it offer them? How can it reshape how they perceive themselves or other people? So evoking awareness is a big deal, and it's the first one of the first steps toward meaningful and lasting change. That's what that competency about. Here's the last one: facilitating client growth. That's the one I love at different points in sessions with my clients over the years. One of the things that I found most rewarding is when a client comes back to me and says, Doc, man, I never thought I could do this. So, the way I used to look at that and see that I really wasn't being considerate of myself. And that's a big one. Or that I thought this was probably a problem, but I see that had this not happened, I would not have taken into consideration a lot of things. And I had to pivot. Now that I made that pivot, it feels great. Now I'm going to suggest something to you, even warn you. When you facilitate client growth, there are going to be times where that growth takes place when you're not coaching them anymore. And people will come back to you maybe weeks or months later. I've had people come back to me a year later and say, Hey, Doc, I remember I got really upset during that session because you caused me to look at some things I really didn't want to take in. But I want you to know time dealt with me, and I see that differently now. In other words, when you're talking about these last two competencies, evoking awareness and facilitating growth, allow time to be one of the strongest components of it. Another thing is where these open-ended questions that you've always heard in your training, ask a powerful question. Oh God, I hate that phrase because all questions ask at the right time and they're open-ended. Challenge your client to really think thoughts they've never thought or try things they've never tried. And when that happens, that's when your client is coming to that intersection where they either have to reconcile something with themselves or challenge the self that they've accepted in order to be the self they need to become. Anyway, this is my quick little talk about the ICF Core Competencies. And again, if you are getting ready to test, I created something called the Most Effective Coach Credentialing Exam. It's by Dr. D. Yvonne Young, if you just look it up. But this is a program that offers 35 CCE credits. You can get a significant portion of your mentor coach hours in that program, and you will pass your exam, and we guarantee it. Because if you don't, because of test anxiety, or everybody has a bad day, we will support you until you pass your credentialing exam. Last thing I want to say about this program, I created this thing not just so you pass an exam. I want you to be a phenomenal coach with the right training, with the right immersion in evidence and research-based coaching techniques. You can bring things to the table that you probably aren't bringing right now. If you watch this video, congratulations. The ICF is the gold standard for coaching. Like anybody in our field, I want you to do the very best. You've been given a gift. That gift is to help people transform their lives. That happens one session at a time to make their dreams come true. This is Dr. D. Yvonne Young, an ICF Master Certified Coach, ICF Business Solutions Provider. Have a great day. Hope to see you in my program. Good luck and best wishes with your career. Bye now.